Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Chat EbT. I'm your host, Mohammed Ebrahim Tayob. Now, my guest today is changing the definition of the word legend. The legend himself, please help me in welcoming to Chat EbT the CEO and founder of Legends Barber, Mr. Sheldon Tatchell. Sheldon, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks a lot for having me on your show, Ebrahim.
All right, so before anything else, the name. Firstly, I love the name, right?
Yes.
It's brilliant. Where did that come from? There must be a story behind that.
Of course, there is a story. So many years ago, when I started the business, so can I just backtrack exactly to where I all started? So I'm a barber, so I can cut hair as well. So I turned to barbering at the age of 14 years old, and when I turned barbering, for me it was a matter of just solving for a problem that was in my community. The problem that you find is that when you go to a barber in my community, it's either the guy is always busy or he's just occupied with something else, you understand? Or he just decides to pack up while you're busy waiting in line to get a haircut, and that's the problem that I saw. And being such an entrepreneur at heart, I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity right here, and I always had the love just to see how these guys can actually cut hair. So I then decided to borrow my friend's clippers. So I made a deal with him, and I said, you know what, can I borrow your clippers and can I see what I can do with this? And he agreed, and I told him I'm going to give him free haircuts just to trade off if I get my skill right. And at that time, I then visited different barbers in my community, and I saw exactly what they're doing. And sometimes these barbers would chase me away, and I'll just return with a bottle of Coke as a bribe for my next lesson. You see. So as simple as that, that was the best way for me to learn something I love. So fast forward around 2011, so my cousin had an internet cafe in El Dorado Park, and I asked him if I could make use of his stoop to mimic a pop-up barber. So he agreed with the condition that I only come on weekends because I was working at the time. So I came. I can remember rocking up this one Saturday. All I had was a clipper and a chair, nothing else.
Okay.
And when I started, I was really surprised to see people actually coming out and trying to support what I'm doing. I wonder what makes me so special, what makes me stand out. I mean, right across the road from me, there's a barber. Right across the road from me, there's another barber. I never saw my skill to be any superior than any of these barbers. So putting some investigation skills to the test, I then went to these barbers and saw what they're doing. And I then realized that for them it was just a monetary transaction. So I cut your hair, done, next customer, cut your hair, done, next customer. And I then saw what made me different. So you see, I had a notebook and a pen, and after each and every customer, I would write down the name of the person I'm cutting. So if I'm cutting Ebrahim today, write down the name, I'll write down the conversation we had, and next time you come sit in that chair, I would make reference to that notebook. So that was building that relationship with the customer. Because we all know that the haircut will just last a few days, but how that person feels afterwards is longer lasting. So with that being said, as you can imagine, things are getting busy on the stoop. And now the landlord start noticing, there's some commotion that's taking place here. What's the story? Because my cousin is not supposed to sublease this to anyone else. And a friend of mine could also cut hair, so I asked him if he can join me. And we noticed not far away from where the stoop was, there was a vacant space. It was like a game room, a place where guys would go and play pool. And we then approached the landlord at the time if he can give us the space to open our very first store. And he agreed, and he told us, his words were, guys, there's no lease here. If you don't pay, you're out. So that was it, you understand? So he gave us the terms up front. So we launched on the 3rd of September 2011. And when we launched, the customers came out and we were like, okay, you know what, now we need to get more hands. Because my friend and my thing, you understand, so my friend and myself could cut here. Now we need to get more hands to assist us. So we then got guys from the community, youngsters from the community, and showed them how to cut hair. But we then done something that came to that point where you were raising, how did we come up with a name? Because at the time it was just called the barber shop. There was nothing else. And we decided to go out to the schools, to the old age homes, as a matter of way to upskill these guys, but also as a matter of to giving back to our communities, which these days were Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which were our quiet days. And whilst doing this, whilst going out to the old age homes, I then decided, why not name the barbershop after them? Because they are actually the legends of our community. And that's the reason why it's called Legends Barbershop today.
Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's sort of like, you know what, giving that recognition, you know, and sort of saying like, yeah, you guys paved the way, and honoring that. So that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. So that's how the name came about. And so that very same year, on the 4th of December, I got married, 2011. And when I got married, my partner showed me what this was. He says, Sheldon, go away on honeymoon. I got everything under control. So then I trusted his words and I went away. Came back 6 days later. I realized that the doors were closed. I'm like, okay, what's happening here? So I called him and he never answered his call. But then I called one of the guys that was working there and he explained to me that that my partner never paid for the rent. But to make matters worse, he never paid the barbers because they were getting paid on a commission basis, daily commission. So now standing in front of those closed doors, realizing, you know what, who am I to think I can really make a career out of this? So I just left barbering right there and then, and I just continued working in corporate.
Wow. Sure, that's quite a roller coaster. That
Yeah.
I mean, in the essence of, you know, everything starting off with a bang, but it just shows that things change so quickly.
Yeah, so I think that was an eye-opening moment for me right there, because I think sometimes you think that, you know, this is going to be your career path and this is something that you're going to do full-heartedly, and you had all these big plans and it just fell flat on its floor. And so I then continued working in. So you see, I used to work at Standard Bank, and yeah. So I used to work at Standard Bank, and at the bank they give you these fancy titles, and my job title was an account management consultant.
Okay.
It sounds like very fancy.
Yeah.
It sounds like this guy is like really up there. But as a matter of fact, I was a debt collector. So
Okay.
I'm sure you know what's a debt collector.
Yeah.
Call your account. If your account is in arrears, please pay up your account. So that was me. So, but using that as a stepping stone, and I think a few things just to highlight. So during that time, I just stopped cutting hair and I was like, okay, well, what are the other things that I could maybe focus on? I mean, like, so I got involved in many businesses. I can remember this one business where my cousin, so my cousin is a panel beater, so I decided to back him in his business. And, you know, buying the whole compressor, starting the whole thing, you understand? And I decided, you know what, maybe this could be something I can go into. Few months into that, I then saw it wasn't a viable thing for me to do, and that also fell face flat. I was like, you know, this is like not me actually wanting to do this, because I never had a passion for it. I was just after the money, just to say the least, just to figure out exactly how we'll be able to make this work. Up until I was reading a verse in the Bible, and there's this verse that says in Ecclesiastes 11 verse 6, do not let your hands be idle, for you do not know what will succeed. So work at it during the day and work at night. So I took that verse and I was like, okay, you know what, how much time do I have in a day? So in my day job, I work from 8 to 4, and from 5 up until whichever time, I have free time. So I bought myself a scooter around 2013, and I decided to go out to customers on my scooter, going to go render service. On weekends as well, I would be the barber, the mobile barber that
Oh,
would
so
go out.
that took you back to barbering now.
Yeah, that took me
Okay.
back to barbering. So I then decided, you know what, let me go at it again and see how it works. Because obviously, people never stop calling, and I just gave into the calling of you know what, I'm going to do this because I love it, and it was much more of a passion project than anything else. So then, whilst doing this, I then saw the need to come back into opening a shop. The following year, I then opened my very first store. I then relaunched Legends Barber on the 26th of July 2014. And when I relaunched Legends Barber, I gained the trust of the barbers that was working at the first store. And this time decided to go it at my own and decided, you know what, let me put everything into it.
So
So
if we go back, right, and,
mm,
and, and that's phenomenal because, if I look at a lot of stories that you hear, and in all honesty, from my aspect as well, a lot of things, you try, and unfortunately, not everything is going to be a success. But a lot of people close that doors,
mm.
right? How difficult was it to say, okay, well, we failed the first time, but I'm going to do it again? Like, that must have been an incredibly difficult decision to make.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. I think that is the moment when you realize that, if, because remember, I started other businesses and
Mm-hmm.
I tried different types of ventures. And my cousin Spenelbito wasn't the only thing that I was involved in. I tried so many other businesses. Yeah, so I can remember coming home this one day and me speaking to my wife, just telling her, you know what, I can't do this corporate job anymore. And I want to give it another go. And she asked me, what would you do if you fail again? I said, you know what, as long as I tried, and this time I don't have any excuses but to blame myself. And even if it needs be, my words were, even if it needs be that I will work in a ShopRite or spa, wherever it is, just to find my feet again, I will do that. But I will make sure that my responsibility is fulfilled. And she said, you know what, go ahead and go do your thing. And so we then relaunched Legends Barber on the 26th of July 2014. And a week later, I intended my resignation at the bank.
Okay.
And I can remember my manager laughing at me because I told him that I want to become a barber. And he was like, who makes a career out of cutting hair? So I said, you know what, maybe I'm going to be the first one. So yeah, and I never looked back from there.
No, I love that. And you touched on something that I feel is very, very overlooked, right? You mentioned the passion for the product, right? I think a lot of people, when we're going into business, we look at it as what's the next big idea? You know, oh, this person is doing really well in barbershops. I'm going to go and open up a barbershop. This person is doing really well selling clothing. I'm going to go into clothing. And we base our decisions based on what's the trend at the time, but might not necessarily have a passion for the product.
Of course.
How do you feel that has impacted the success of Legends Barber, the fact that you had that much of a passion for the product?
The passion outweighs the pursuit of money. And the reason I say so was that if you must do a comparison back then, like the first couple of months when I relaunched the business, my main objective was to grow the business. My main objective was to scale. And at that time, I didn't pay myself for X amount of months because you want to plow back within the business. You want to be able to have the business to be self-sustainable. And the question constantly arises, did I make the right decision? But when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you just feel deep down within you that it's the right thing. You have a feeling of, you know what, I'm called to do this. And if I don't do this, I won't fulfill my calling. And I talk a lot about calling because I feel that anyone that goes into the entrepreneurship space, you have to be selfless. You have to be willing to serve others.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do the things necessary, not for self-gain. Because if you think about it, many of us weren't taught this journey. So now we're learning as we're going about. And it became so difficult once you started doing certain things because there's no blueprint that you can follow. And whilst doing this, you're trying to keep your customers happy, you're trying to keep your employees happy, and you are the one at the end of the day that takes the brunt. You are the one that if your business goes to a negative, you take the brunt because you're constantly reinvesting in the business. And sometimes I've been asked this so many times, it's like, why don't you just find a corporate job? Just do something, do a real thing. Don't do something that is, don't focus on something that is just a passion. Don't focus on something that's just going to be something. I mean, like, who really does that? Is there anyone that you can show me that has a proven record that has been able to build a barbershop and scale it sustainably? And they thought I was crazy because, I mean, from people, also customers as well, because I mean, I would speak to many customers and I would explain to them the vision. And I can remember this one point during the early phases of our business. I used to write down on the mirrors. I used to write down on the mirrors 1,000. And that 1,000 was basically on all the mirrors of our first shop.
Okay.
And as I wrote it down, and customers used to engage, and customers used to ask, what is this 1,000 that you're writing on the mirrors? And I then said that I want to serve 1,000 customers per month. They were like, are you serious? Okay, can you explain to me, how many customers are you serving today or this month? He says, no, I'm serving maybe 180 to 200 customers. But how are you going to reach 1,000 customers? I said, I don't know, but it's a number that I have, it's a target that I have. And as long as you're willing to write your vision down, as long as you're willing to believe in your vision yourself, and no matter nobody else believes in your vision, because if you think about it, the people that's going to hold the journey with you, they themselves sometimes doubt your vision. I was doubted at the time, and I'm saying, you know what? If it's God's will, we will definitely succeed somewhere, somehow. And yeah, I mean, like that's one of those stories where you ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing that I'm following? Am I making the right pursuit? Because it is really a passion project more than anything else.
And when you're in that position, because I mean, I fully behind that. I mean, a lot of people would be doubting everything, right? Because things are unfortunately not just going according to plan. This is a business that you started that didn't work out, you restarted it, and now these hurdles, right? I'm sure it takes a lot to push through that, right? What was your mindset at that time to push through that? And if you had to give the viewers advice, like how do you push through that and say, okay, you know what, this is not going according to plan, but we still need to carry on, we still need to go through.
Yeah, no, I think one of the so when I resigned from my job, I told myself that most of the time we make these options available for ourselves. We make, like, for example, we come up with scenarios that if this thing doesn't work, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. If this doesn't succeed, I have something to fall back on. And at that moment, I didn't have anything to fall back on. And I didn't have an option B. It was only this. And I am going to have to make this work. And if we understand that, even for the viewers as well that's watching, is that if you have a maniacal focus on the one thing that you want to succeed, no matter what it is, no matter if it's being the best cleaner, being the best barber, being the person that's on the cameras, whoever it is, you have that focus that, you know what, if I'm going to do this, then I might as well just drop dead because this is what I'm called to do. And that passion precedes anything else. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to go at it again. And you constantly face the battle each and every day that you want to show up, that you want to give it your all, no matter how tough it might be, because there's challenges each and every day, and it's no straight road. My journey is different from your journey, and your journey is different from the next person's journey. I don't think any one of us, but we go through these roller coaster rides within our journey, and we understand that, for me, because I'm such a firm believer, Ebrahim, because I believe that because God is the one that gives us
Yeah.
the power. He is the one that actually gives us the ability to create this wealth, to create this opportunity to expand our business.
No, fully agree. As you're saying that, it reminded me of a very interesting story, and if you indulge me for a couple of minutes. So I was working in corporate at the time. I was working at one of the big firms, and we had this retreat in our first year. And they put us into all these different groups. And I always loved this example. So one of the exercises they did is they split the room into two groups, and they sent each one out to different sides of the building. And they put up a piece of paper on the wall and gave each of us a marker and they put it up quite high, like about 1.5 meters up or something,
Yeah.
or 2 meters up. And they made us run and try and go as high as we can and touch the piece of paper.
Yes.
Right? And everybody did that. Then what they did is they gave us an ankle weight.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we're going to put on this ankle weight for you, right? Obviously, it's a little bit heavy, but it's not heavy enough to really make a difference. What we want you to do is to try and just aim an inch higher than your mark, right? And so we all did that exercise again. We all ran and jumped and made our mark.
Yes.
Then we went back into the room, and they had us draw a line between our two marks, measure it, and the amount of centimeters was the amount of points that you got.
Yes.
Now, there's a very fascinating story there. The one group, my group, we had about positive 30 points.
Yes.
The other group had negative 20 points.
Yes.
What do you think was the difference in those two? That was the exact same exercise on
Yes.
both sides,
Yes.
right? Both had to jump, both wore the ankle weight, jumped again, measured.
Yes.
What do you think the difference was, the key difference between the two groups?
I think the pursuit for not wanting to give up.
Yes, very true. But
Yeah.
specifically, so what the one group, our group, said, they told us was that this weight you're going to put on shouldn't make that much of a difference.
Yes.
And they gave us a goal to aim just a centimeter higher.
Yes.
The other group, they told them, okay, so you guys are wearing an ankle weight now.
Yes.
So obviously you're not going to get to that first point because now you're heavier.
Yes.
So just jump.
Oh, yes.
And the difference was, number one, the obstacle,
Yes.
they didn't make it out to be a big thing. But number
Yes.
two, they gave a very clear goal as to what you should try and achieve.
Yes.
So the reason why I love that exercise, because it just shows
it just shows
the positive
yes.
reinforcement
Mm.
and also just having that specific goal in mind. So as you
Yeah.
mentioned with you, so many people said, oh, you're going to become a barber. Like, what's up with that? But you persisted. So that was the obstacle, right?
I
People
love
saying
that. I
that.
love that analogy.
Yeah. And then your second one is where you put the number on
Yes.
the mirror.
Mm.
That was the goal. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is that number one, we focus on the obstacles
Yes.
that sometimes are not really obstacles,
Mm.
but it's more created obstacles.
That's true.
And secondly, we go forward without any purpose. And,
Yeah.
and I always love that story because it really opened up my mind to that this was something that we saw
I love that.
with our own two eyes. You saw
I
it.
love
You know
that.
the difference.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy because most of the time we focus on what the problems are, but not necessarily the target and the solutions to solve those problems. And I think it takes the mindset to reshift that focus
Yes.
and to have that to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to still do this, and no matter what might look. And most of the time we see people, because I think entrepreneurs are just born optimisms because they always look at what are the positive things that they can take out of it, and it's not about the negative. I mean, like, who starts a business in this day and age with the economy that is crashing?
Yeah.
Who continues to to do all of these things while there's so many things that's hindering you, you understand? If you look at the challenges, I mean, there's so many challenges to disadvantage you from actually becoming a successful entrepreneur, but you still go on and you still going to do it irregardless.
No, 100%. Tell me, what do you think now? Obviously, we've spoken about how the business unfortunately didn't, succeed the first time around. What do you think was the key difference? Obviously, the fact that you went alone at it, that was
Yeah.
probably a very big thing. But other than that, what do you think was the key difference that this time made Legends into a success?
I think there's definitely few things to take about it. I think the number one thing is that I had much more experience from my failure, because many of the times we tend to write off the failure,
Yeah.
but the failure is what actually brings you through from a learning experience.
Yeah.
Because that experience that you have, if you're going to fail with the same thing and basically repeat that same failure, then the problem is on you. It's not necessarily. So I had that experience and I said, you know what, I need to equip myself on what business is all about. I need to upskill myself from a business standpoint. Knowing that my shop failed the first time, I need to go back to the drawing book and understand exactly what difference am I going to make moving forward. So, when you start a business, you're like, we're just going to do it for the sake of doing it. But when you relaunch a business and you failed, and now you're like, okay, now you had learned from that. You built up experience. You understand the struggles. You know what it is to face failure. If there's anything else that's new that's going to come along your path, you are able to face it because of that particular thing. So I always use that because I knew that at that particular time when I started, I was immature when it comes to business. And now you add that experience to say, you know what, these are the decisions that I'm going to make within my business. These are the values that I'm going to incorporate. These are the things that I'm going to do to make myself and the business successful and for it to grow further than what it was. And like you're talking about, that focus is having that focus to want to expand. So when we relaunched Legends, the focus was to open 5 stores in 5 years. So see this. So we opened 5 stores in 5 years. And as we're going about this target, and it's taken slowly with all these obstacles that's taking place. So you face this where barbers leave and open right across the road from you. You face this. So you constantly asking yourself, how am I able to be different? How am I able to stand out from the crowd? Because the skill set, I mean, like, just think about it. The skill set can easily be found just right across the road. What makes you so different? What makes you stand out? How are you able to build your brand, your business, to actually be able to stand out from the crowd that's out there? So constantly evolving into this person that you want to become for your business.